Now, in this question, what is the right procedure? I told the most simple procedure. It's very simple.
Jadi di pertanyaan ini bagaimana prosedurnya? Nanti sudah menjelaskan prosedurnya yang sederhana sekali. Ya.
So if one wants to make it complicated, that is up to them, to them.
Ya, orang ini membuatnya jadi rumit, ya terserah mereka. Demikian.
Is it proper that the robes that have been given to Sangha be sold again to devotees by bhikkhu who receive it?
Apakah pantas jubah yang diserahkan kepada biku atau sangga kemudian dijual kembali kepada umat oleh biku yang menerimanya?
So now I already give explanations what is according to the Vinaya procedure, how these robes should be dipped. So then, I think you can guess the answer I'm going to give.
Jadi Bante baru saja menjelaskan prosedurnya ya yang sesuai di Vinaya. Bante pikir Anda bisa menebaknya ya apa yang akan dijawab oleh Bante.
So it is not proper. That is my answer.
Ini tidak pantas, ini jawaban saya.
So then the Sangha, the monk or the monks can't sell robes to devotees.
Biku atau sangga tidak bisa menjual jubah kepada umatnya.
It said to devotees by bhikkhu, yes. Bhikkhu, yes. The bhikkhu who received the robes, whether the bhikkhu can sell this robe back to the devotees. It is not proper.
Ini tidak pantas ya, biku yang menerima jubahnya yang menjual yang kembali tidak pantas.
As I already explained, that a monk can't go trading, just go give things to lay people and get money, or any shopkeeper go to the supermarket, give the robes to the supermarket, and gets jams, jam, and butter, whatever he likes. He can't do that. So,
ya, biku tidak bisa menjualnya ke toko, supermarket ya, dan mendapatkan apa barang-barang apa butter, jam, permata atau mentega ya yang dibutuhkannya.
So therefore now I've heard about this practice that some monks they do it, and of course I was not surprised because monks who use money they find all the ways how to make more money.
Berarti udah baru mendengar hal ini dan juga agak kaget ya, agak terkejut bagaimana biku menggunakan uang dan segala cara untuk mendapatkan lebih uangnya.
But according to the Vinaya procedure, is not proper.
Sesuai prosedur Vinaya ini tidak pantas.
Monks fall into offense, and we have seen also that is a bad karma.
Biku akan jatuh ke dalam pelanggaran dan mendapatkan karma buruk.
So now the next question is it proper for a bhikkhu to collect money, although that money is for building a vihara?
Selanjutnya, apakah pantas seorang biku mengumpulkan dana atau uang sekalipun hal itu ditujukan untuk pendirian wihara?
That means the monk collects the money for building a vihara.
Yeah.
He doesn't pay for his.
No, the monk himself collect the money or going for the money.
Yes. Again, that is not proper. Monks should do such things through a kapya kataka, as I explained. So they should not directly involve themselves collecting money or even to tell the lay people we need money, who want to buy this and buy that, and who want to make a new vihara and so forth. This is no proper.
Ini tidak pantas ya. Jadi apakah seorang biku bisa mengumpulkan dana ya? Ini tidak pantas. Bahkan seorang biku tidak bisa memberitahu umat awam bahwa kita membutuhkan biara ini, kita membutuhkan itu. Si biku tidak boleh memberitahu kepada umat awamnya.
So this actually happened 100 years after the Buddha's Parinibbana, and it became a cause of the of the second council, Buddhist council.
Ini sebenarnya terjadi 100 tahun setelah Sang Buddha Parinibbana, ya, dan menjadi penyebab dari konsili Sangha yang kedua.
Therefore, there was in the city of Vesali in India some monks, Vaji Buddhas. They're called Vaji Buddhas, Vaji from the Vaji country. They did like that. They put a donation box. It was actually a box, it's like a vessel in front of the vihara, and they will tell people, give money, we want to do this, to do that. They would shout to the people to give money to Ashram. And this is how actually, when the first time I record in the Vinaya text that such things happened 100 years after Parinibbana of the Buddha.
Di pada masa itu ada seorang biku bernama Wajibutta, ya, dia meletakkan sebuah kotak dana di depan biara dan menyuruh umat-umat datang dan berdana di kotak dana itu, ya. Jadi ini tercatat 100 tahun setelah Buddha Parinibbana pertama kali.
And it happened that there was one Arahat monk, his name was Yasa. He happened to pass from this vihara and he wanted to stay overnight.
Dan pada saat itu ada seorang arahat yang bernama Yasa melewati wihara itu dan bermaksud bermalam di situ.
And the Vaji Buddhas, the resident monks, they told this monk, look, the lay people is giving this money. This is your portion. You take this money.
Dan si Wajibutta ini memberitahu si Yasa, lihat orang-orang berdana di kotak dana ini. Nah, ini bagian Anda, ini untuk Anda. Jadi menyisikan bagian untuk si biku Yasa.
Because this monk refused to take, the Vajipu just blamed him that he deprives people from making merit.
Nah, karena si biku Yasa ini menolak untuk menerimanya, ya. Jadi si Wajibutta ini memberitahu si biku Yasa, Anda menyebabkan orang-orang tidak bisa melakukan kebajikan. Ya.
And they forced him to go and apologize to the lay people.
Dan memaksa biku Yasa untuk minta maaf sama orang umat awam ini.
So ultimately that monk told okay, and he went and approached the lay people, and then he actually recited the sutta I show you about how the monks who use money do not shine.
Kemudian si biku Yasa ini mendekati orang-orang dan mengulangi sutta yang tadi disebutkan bahwa ketika seorang biku menggunakan uang dia tidak akan bersinar, seperti yang tadi sudah ditunjukkan.
The lay people understood, and then they themselves asked forgiveness from the monk.
Mbak Aoni jadi mengerti dan akhirnya si Mbak Aoni yang minta maaf kepada si biku Yasa ini.
But the Vajiputas got so angry.
Si Wajibutta menjadi sangat marah,
and then they want to punish that monk.
Dan ingin menghukum si biku itu.
So then, because that monk was an arahat and his Sai powers, ultimately he flew through the air and disappeared from that vihara.
Karena si biku ini seorang arahat, dia terbang dari situ dan hilang dari vihara itu juga.
So then he approached other senior monks, and then he consulted them, and all senior monks, all of them, most of them arahats in those days, they condemned the action of the Vajiputas.
Si biku Yasa ini bertemu dengan para biku senior, ya, para arahat yang lain dan berkonsultasi masalah ini, dan para biku senior ini mencela hal tersebut.
And this is the question this arahat Yasa asked the question from senior monks. Is it proper for monks to collect money? One of the questions.
Salah satu pertanyaan Biku Yasa adalah kepada para arahat yang lain, apakah pantas seorang biku mengumpulkan uang?
And the answer was from the senior ones, it's not proper.
Jawaban dari para biku senior ini tidak pantas.
And the next question is, in which place one day the Buddha told for monks not to use money? In which place, in which sutta, in which Vinaya passage did the Buddha tell not to use money for monks?
Dan pertanyaan berikutnya adalah, biasa bertanya, di Winaya yang mana Sang Buddha menetapkan tidak boleh mengumpulkan uang?
And these senior monks replied, this sutta, in this Vinaya Buddhaka, in this rule.
Dan si para senior ini menunjukkan di sutta ini, di Winaya ini, dan sebagainya.
So therefore now, this occasion of these Vajiputas using money, collecting money from the people, and then forcing also other monks to take money. So then become an occasion, a cause, so that monks who were Vinaya kamis, who were very keen to keep the Vinaya, they came together and they conducted a council. It's called the Second Buddhist Council. So to prevent monks breaking these rules about money.
Berdasarkan kasus ini ya, di mana si Wajiputa memaksa orang biku menerima uang ya, kemudian ini menjadi alasan bagi diadakannya konsili sangga yang kedua.
Therefore, the main cause why the Second Buddhist Council started, it is because of this monks collecting money.
Jadi sebab utama kenapa diadakan konsili sangga yang kedua ini adalah karena biku mulai mengumpulkan uang.
Let's try to stop it. Try to stop it with this council.
Coba mencegahnya dengan konsili ini.
So then, of course, these Vajiputas had other points also, which they break the Vinaya. But was about money was the main point.
Tentu saja ada beberapa poin lain ya yang dipecahkan dilanggar oleh si Wajiputa, tapi sebab utamanya adalah masalah uang ini.
And then the shocking thing is that when these 700 arahats came together to conduct the Buddhist council, these Vajiputas conducted a counter council.
Yang hal mengejutkan adalah yang mengejutkan juga ketika diadakan konsili kedua ini oleh 700 arahat ya, si Wajiputa juga mengadakan konsili tandingan.
So then they collected not 700 monks, they could collect 1,500 monks.
Dia bisa bukan mengumpulkan 700 yang tandingan ini, tapi mengumpulkan 1.500 biku.
And they conducted their own council in a different place.
Dan mereka mengadakan konsili ya di tempat yang lain.
So, and they called this council Mahasangika council.
Mereka menyebut konsili ini konsili Mahasangika.
Because their monks were 1,500, but the other council only 700.
Karena biku mereka ada 1.500, sedangkan biku yang konsili yang lain cuma 700.
1,500 in quantity, not in quality.
1.500 dalam kuantitas, bukan kualitas.
So therefore, we can see how from this time on, Theravada split into two groups.
Jadi kita bisa lihat sejak masa itu Theravada terpecah menjadi dua kelompok.
The reason, money handling.
Alasannya uang.
So then, and this is how actually from Mahasangika slowly Mahayana developed.
Dan pelan-pelan dari Mahasangika ini menjadi aliran Mahayana.
So then, we therefore we call monks who use money Vajiputas.
Ini kita ya, bagi kami ya, berarti pokoknya menyebut yang menggunakan uang ini adalah Wajiputa atau putra Waji gitu.
Not Sakya Putas.
Bukan Sakya Puta ya, bukan putra Sakya.
So whatever the case is, you understand that there is no any support, any text which can support to the practice of handling and using money for monks.
Tidak bisa didukung untuk praktek yang menggunakan uang ini.
And it takes Vinaya text or Sutta text which can support the handling and using money for monks.
Jadi tidak bisa ditemukan ya yang dalam Vinaya atau Sutta yang mendukung untuk penggunaan uang ini yang menggunakan uang.
The next question is number 5. No? What is the right procedure for a bhikkhu who wants to build a vihara?
Pertanyaan kelima, bagaimana prosedur yang tepat bila seorang bhikkhu ingin memiliki atau mendirikan wihara?
So I already explained about how the procedure is through a kapya karaka. The right procedure.
Oh, ya, jadi Bhante akan menjelaskannya sesuai prosedur yang benar ya dengan kapya karaka.
So therefore, monks they can't own land.
Bhikkhu tidak bisa mempunyai memiliki tanah, gitu ya.
They can't buy land with their own money.
Jadi, mereka tidak bisa memiliki tanah properti ya dengan uang.
Usually the land is offered by one devotee, lay devotee, who is very faithful and he wants to make it appropriate for the vihara, this land.
Biasanya tanah ini dimiliki didanangkan oleh umat awam yang berbakti ya, dan untuk digunakan untuk vihara.
So then this lay devotee, if he is keen to support this project for the vihara, then the monk can accept the land for the vihara, not for himself. The land. He can't accept it for himself. He accepts it only for the vihara, for the use of the land for the vihara.
Jadi si bhikkhu bisa menerimanya, tapi bukan untuk dirinya sendiri ya, tapi untuk vihara ya, bukan. Jadi propertinya bukan untuk dirinya, tapi digunakan penggunaannya untuk vihara.
So therefore, the monk has to remind also this lay devotee that the rules he has to keep in order to be a monk.
Bhikkhu harus memperingatkan kepada si umat awam ada aturan-aturan yang harus dijaganya.
That he can't use the money, he can't get involved to too much material things, construction and so forth. So that the lay devotee should understand that he has to supply kapya karaka for the monk to be there.
Jadi si bhikkhu setelah memberitahukannya, jadi si umat awam, si bhikkhu harus memberitahukan bahwa dia tidak bisa menggunakan uang, dia tidak bisa berhubungan dengan hal-hal material ya seperti membangun atau apa. Jadi si umat awam yang menyediakan kapya karakanya.
The lay devotees search for the kapya karaka.
So that the lay devotee can supply him with the kapya karaka.
Si umat awam yang menyuplai, mencari ya dari kapya karaka.
So, and then of course the monk can tell to the kapya karaka that we need to build this kuti, the other kuti for the facility of monks. So in the kapya karaka, if there is funds, he has to think how to do so.
Jadi si bhikkhu bisa memberitahukan kapya karaka, kita membutuhkan kuti ini, kita membutuhkan kuti itu, dan jika si kapya karaka memiliki dananya, dia akan melaksanakannya.
Therefore, everything has to be done through a kapya karaka. The monk can't build the vihara himself. He has to have the help of other people who handle the money, or even a committee, because many monasteries, I know in Sri Lanka also, forest monasteries, all these forest monasteries are organized by a committee, or lay people, some of them they are doctors, some of them are school teachers, whatever and so forth. They come together, they make a committee with the president, the treasurer, the secretary. So, and they look after the monastery.
Jadi si bikunya tidak berhubungan dengan hal ini. Nah, tapi kalau di Sri Lanka biasanya ada satu komite ya. Ini komitenya terdiri dari umat-umat awam. Jadi ada presiden, ada bendaharanya, ada sekretarisnya, kadang-kadang ada dokter atau siapa ya. Tapi semuanya umat awam yang menyelenggarakan hal sedemikian.
They handle the funds of the monastery. They know how to contact engineers and architects and so forth, and to deal with the prices of cement, of sand, of bricks. So they look after this matters. The monk has only to tell that we need a library, we need a meditation hall, we need somehow new kutis to be built. He can tell only that. The rest is done by the committee.
Jadi si komite ini yang menangani hal-hal demikian seperti masalah dananya ya, pembangunannya dan sebagainya. Si biku hanya menyatakan kita membutuhkan kuti, kita membutuhkan perpustakaan, kita membutuhkan hall meditasi. Selanjutnya si komite ini yang melaksanakannya.
Therefore, the lay committee looks after these affairs, and they take advice from the monk sometimes, because the monk knows that, for example, how to protect the kutis from ants, how to protect from creatures in the forest. So they will tell him how to make the kuti in appropriate way so that these kutis can be protected from wild animals, from any other creatures who can disturb monks, and so forth.
Jadi kadang-kadang si komite ini bisa meminta nasihat kepada si biku ya, bagaimana si kuti ini dibangun dengan baik, mereka bisa terlindungi dari serangan binatang ya, atau serangan semut gitu ya. Jadi si biku bisa memberi nasihat.
So he can even design how much the library, how the library should be, how the meditation hall, how the facility should be. He can do these things, designing.
Cannot.
And so forth.
Can.
Design.
Oh,
Design and show to the committee how to do it.
Oh, mereka bisa mendesainnya ya, jadi bagaimana dibangun bisa didesain.
Can or cannot?
Can.
Mereka bisa mendesainnya.
It is not. So therefore, he can actually be indirectly involved, not directly involved in this kind of projects by telling the committee, look, give me money, I want to do it this way, the other way. And he tells them, don't give this money to him, give to him, and so forth. Be directly involved in this kind of things. This is not proper for monk.
Jadi si biku tidak bisa langsung terlibat di dalamnya, tapi secara tidak langsung bisa terlibat di dalamnya. Jadi tidak bisa langsung ya, misalnya saya ingin bangun ini itu nggak bisa ya.
Or to let the people, we need more money, go and ask from the people to go and collect more money. He can't tell these things to lay people.
Pergi ke umat awam, ayo dana ya, kita ingin bangun banyak wihara, itu mereka tidak boleh melakukan hal seperti ini.
Tell the committee, let's contact the Guardian ceremony to collect more money for the people.
Memberitahu komite ini, ayo adakan katina untuk mendapatkan banyak dana untuk bangun wihara.
Talking about money, discussing about money, that is not proper for monk.
Berbicara mengenai uang adalah tidak pantas untuk para biku.
So therefore, this is the answer regarding the procedure of the bhikkhu. You should be not directly involved in this kind of money matters and how to make the construction of viharas. Indirectly he can advise the lay people, the community, but not directly.
Ini yang cara yang demikian ya, tidak langsung diberitahu kepada umatnya ya, tapi secara tidak langsung, tidak bisa terlibat secara langsung.
So next question is it proper for a bhikkhu to make himself busy with occupations such as building school, foundation, and helping poor children by becoming a foster father for them?
selanjutnya, apakah pantas seorang biku menyibukkan dirinya untuk kegiatan duniawi seperti mendirikan sekolah, yayasan, dan membantu anak-anak yang kurang mampu dengan menjadi orang tua asuh?
Nowadays, bhikkhus are busy with so many things.
Ya, pada masa ini biku disibukkan dengan banyak hal.
And in this case also, if there is a very special need for a village or some community of lay people to have a school built, again the monk can help them indirectly without getting involved too much with money matters.
Ya, bila ada hal-hal khusus seperti ini yang dibutuhkan ya, tapi si biku bisa terlibat tapi tidak secara langsung ya, tidak secara langsung.
He can act as advisor, how to build the school, how to design it, and so forth, and what kind of classes to conduct in the school, but not to directly involve himself with raising money, asking collecting money from lay people, and so forth. These kind of activities are not proper for him.
Dia bisa terlibat sebagai penasehat ya, misalnya bagaimana membangun sekolah yang baik ya, tapi tidak terlibat langsung dalam misalnya pengumpulan dana ya, dan sebagainya berhubungan ya dengan uang.
So regarding poor children, the same way, we can advise lay people that is a good merit for them to support what's called poor people, poor children, so that whether it's medicine, food, clothing, shelter, so that people can actually save many lives of poor people. He can advise them, but he can't raise money himself and ask the people for money, give to me. I will want to collect this money for the poor children and so on. I want to make a new bank account, and I want to raise our foundation, to support our foundation. Therefore, being directly involved with money is no problem for one.
Sama juga untuk misalnya anak-anak ini ya, anak-anak miskin ini, si biku bisa menjadi penasihat ya, bagaimana menganjurkan si umat awam untuk membantu para anak-anak yang kesusahan, yang miskin ini ya. Tapi si biku tidak boleh ya terlibat langsung mengumpulkan dana untuk membangun yayasan ya, ayo berdana di sini untuk bantu si anak-anak ini. Jadi terlibatnya tidak langsung, bisa memberi nasihat kepada umat awam yang lain.
The next point, become the foster father for them. I don't know how that can be.
Hal selanjutnya menjadi orang tua angkat. Bante juga bingung ya bagaimana bisa jadi seperti ini.
What is a foster father? Can you explain this?
Foster father means like some children they lost their parents. Some children they lost their parents, so the monks become the foster parents for the children, for the orphan.
That means officially by the government or
Not
just
officially, just to help them for the orphanage,
in orphanage.
Yeah.
So then, that means he is running the orphanage himself.
Yes.
So then this can be done. This can be done if he actually, the monk, sees that these people, these children, have no other way to survive.
Can.
Ini bisa dilakukan bila si biku melihat si anak ini tidak ada cara lain untuk bertahan hidup.
Especially, as I told you, if these children have no other way to survive.
Kalau si anak tidak ada cara lain lagi untuk hidup, untuk bertahan hidup.
So then, but in that case also, he has to do it with the help of lay community.
Tapi untuk
But
melakukan
it
ini,
comes in money matters.
tapi bila nanti berhubungan dengan uang juga harus nanti diusahakan oleh si umat awam ya, bukan dia yang berhubungan dengan uang kalau dalam masalah uangnya.
He can tell the villagers or the lay community to support the children by giving the food, shelter, medicines, and whatever they need. Or things like, for example, clothes to to collect clothes he can, but not collect money himself.
Bisa memberitahu pada komunitas orang awam tuh mengumpulkan kebutuhan-kebutuhan lah ya, jubah dan sebagainya, baju dan sebagainya ya, tapi bukan uangnya gitu.
So then, this can be done through Kapya Karagan, as I told you, or with the help of other people who want to support also the orphanage. So then he can ask from lay people to help, so that to appoint sometimes what's called a paid Kapya Karagan.
Paid.
Lay